Our anime starts with a boy named Yucho, and he is a high school student, but he is an introvert, and he is suffocated of all human beings and doesn't like to mix with people. He goes to school and stays in class very bored and wants the school day. It ends in any way he hears in school about a very beautiful girl and special in sports, and her name is Shendo. All the boys in school, they like her and want to talk to her, but of course the girl ignores her. The important thing is that the school day ends and Yosis comes home and sits playing on the computer is the games that he loves, and this is the only thing that makes him happy. But it is next to a picture of his friends who slandered each other. He looks at her and gets mad again, and the second day he is at school, Pipe is responsible for cleaning the classroom, and he is supposed to stand the door after. The school day ends, but the girl named Shendo is talking to another girl named Cozy, and he is very surprised because they were not friends in the first place. On the contrary, Shandu loves sports activities and the whole school knows it, but Hakaz is an introverted girl, and always, you miss school. And suddenly the two girls look at him once in your house, and he comes back to clean the board again. The teacher enters on him and says Q is not participating in any sports activity. Why is he not interested in your studies? You should be better than this. And during the talk, the two girls were still looking on him and focused with him on the other, and after the teacher walked Yoso, he was going to tell them that I am the woman who closed the door today, and going to walk them, but when he looks they are surprised and tremble that they didn't get out of the door. And suddenly he hears a strange voice inside the classroom, and it is thrown all around him, and there are things strange that happens in his body. He turns nice like this, and he chooses, and I find himself in the sky, and he falls to the ground, and he goes down like this in a lake of water. In front of him is a group of snake monsters that attack him. He doesn't understand what is happening, so he gets up quickly to get out of the lake, and suddenly he finds Cozy and Shendo calling him, and they are very happy, and tell him I finally arrived. And when he gets out of the lake he says to them, what is happening? Where am I in the first place? What is this strange place? So you say to him, Shindo, these questions are not important now. The important thing is that there is a person. A stranger will appear behind you immediately and his head will be cut, so don't be afraid of him and listen to his words. And suddenly he finds someone behind him really, and when he looks at him he finds the person whose head is cut off. This person says to him, I will tell you about the rules of the game. You are required to do it. Specific missions in this game, and the task that is required of you now is to carry out a big request of the village for 14 days, even if this period is over. Without you doing the mission, you will all die, and the monsters that exist in this world are waiting for you to kill you. Fia says to him, I don't understand anything. So then you hit Shendo and tell him to read the instructions only, and he says this person is required of you to carry out a set of tasks. And the two girls with you have 2 missions, and you are supposed to do the 3rd mission, and every time you do a mission, a new person will join you until you arrive for the last mission, and you are the last 10 people. Each one of you will be converted and will have a specific job like Shendo, who became the Witch of the Wind. And here is the one who is fighting the sword, and you too are supposed to finish your mission to know your job. And this person turns the wheel of fortune, and the arrow stops at the word farmer, and this is his role. And where does he believe? Because he is supposed to start from scratch until when he reaches the level of a warrior, and really the clothes of the farmers change, and tell them, Yosu, what is happening? Exactly, I don't understand anything. So you tell him, Shino, you are now a farmer. I mean, you will not be able to fight until you are promoted, until you reach. He reached the degree of a warrior in the game, but Yosu also doesn't understand anything and stands all together. So I explain to him, Shendo, and you tell him that I am the first one to reach this strange world, and this is a magic world that we play in and carry out a set of missions, like games. The electronic exactly like that. And I did my first mission, and it was to kill a little monster, and when Cozy came, we did the 2nd mission, which is that we are looking for the people who live in this world. And now it is your turn, teacher, to carry out the 3rd task, and the person who his head is cut off, this is the one who appeared to you. His name is the king of the game, and he was the one who asked me to be friends with him so that you would be with me in the game. And then he asked Hakaz to let you in with us, and you also asked you for missions or things like that, which is to bring other people into the group. Hours in the time, of course. After this amount of information, his brain makes an error, but he starts to understand the topic one by one. He will be Utes, not. He has weapons other than just a big axe and a small axe because of course his rank in the game is farm, so he doesn't have many weapons after that. So they go back to his credit. You are lightning like this, and you tell him that you gave a point to record the events. I mean, when you touch it, you can know what are the events that will happen. I arrived in this place before, and really, Yates touches and the memories appear to him, and I find them as my first time when I arrived on this world. She was a worker. She is crying, and I don't understand what is happening. And when Shindo received her too, and the girl was embarrassed at the end, Shindo said to him, when I first came to this world, I was very terrified because I am alone. But when I came, I started to feel safe. A little bit, and I thanked God. Fioch says to them, now, all that is required of us is a few missions to do. I mean to get back to our world. A very simple thing, but suddenly the monsters of the game appear in front of them and tell him that every time you fear the monster from these monsters, you promote yourself and your ranks. You get up. The boy, really the little weapon he has, comes out and kisses with all his strength and attacks him, but one of the monsters. He beats him with his stick simply, and breaks his weapon. So she tells him, Shendo, you look like you are not a gift, you have a benefit with us. So he tells her, you are a witch. وثاني ديت محاربه متوه أنتم فبيت طلع شندو صلجان السحري بتاعها وبتضرب عليهم بسحر الرياح ولكن يوسو بلاقيها طلعت شوي. It is simple like that, and they don't do anything after that. Shendo walks and tells him that my level in the game is very low, and this is all I can do. I mean, Hakaz was also like she said, and the boy is demanding from him, but that he is the one who kills him. Peggy roots to hold the sword of Cozy. But Shindo tells him that only the owner of the weapon can catch him, so he takes out his big axe and throws at the monster, but also the monster breaks it. Simply he hits the boy and falls to the ground and looks like this on his body. He finds himself dead, and then looks at Tay. Hakaz finds her also dying, and suddenly he wakes up the two, so she tells him that this game has no death, uncle, because this is not your real body, and when you die you will come back again after 30 seconds like any game. So he says, okay, come on quickly so that we kill this monster. And really, the girl uses her mace to get the dirt out to disperse the monster, and Yatsu quickly attacks with his weapon, but the monster hits him again. His brain, but the boy can plant the weapon in his body, and then the two of them stay on the ground. And this way the boy killed the first and monster. Why in this world? The important thing is that Yucho comes back after 30 seconds, and asks what will happen if the three of us all died. What do you say to him, that if any one of us died in you? The game wakes up after 30 seconds, but if we all died, we will not wake up and die in the natural world. Our boy also, of course, is shocked, and feels that he is trapped at night, so they sit and look at the map of the game and still have their breath. At first they agree then, that they go to the village to know their request, and carry out the new mission. So you tell him what if the mission is done, you can ask the king of the game one question, and if you ask him he should answer you and I. After my mission I asked him and told him, why did you choose me? So he answered me and told me, because someone you know asked me like this. Hakashi also asked him and told him, who are you? So he told her, we are people from the future yachts. He told them, okay, I am currently going to start my guard shift, and he stands then to guard them, but suddenly he hears screaming, and when he goes there he finds the fire burning in Keep. The place in Cozy is thrown on the ground with her hands cut off, and suddenly a huge monster appears and is holding Shendo, and she is telling him run away quickly. YouTube kill this monster. The monster then eats the girl in front of him, and of course she died like this. Yotzi takes a Cozy body and runs away quickly, and after a while the girl comes back for life. Cozy stands up and talks to him, but her arm is not back. She tells him that he will not come back to form again until we kill the monster, or we get the arm out of his stomach. So he tells her the meaning of this is that Shindo will not come back until we kill the monster, or get it out of his stomach. The girl told him. Yes, he told her, okay, we should try to complete the mission before we fight the monster, so that her rank rises and our strength increases, and they really continue their way. And they go to the nearby village, and the people are very happy with them. They go then to the village elder and ask about his request and the mission that they are supposed to do it. So he tells them, my request that you kill a very huge monster that appeared close to the village of the two. Of course, when they see it they are shocked, because in order to carry out the third mission, they must fight the monster that they are running away from in the first place. After that she is very frustrated, but Cozy tells him we have to go to save Shandu. So he tells her, Yosu, how are you fighting him, and there is no any benefit from you. Stay here in the village so that you don't die, and I will act. But the girl runs after him and tells him, I want to help you. So he tells her not. It will work to come, because if you die we will all die, and he will go after it to look for monsters to kill them and raise his rank and increase his power. Really, he finds a group of monsters in front of him and kills, and his rank increases. He then sees the data board of Haha Cozy and wishes if yes, he was the warrior instead of her, and at this moment he knows that she died, and says, how did I leave her in the village so that she does not die? What happened? He goes running to the village and finds it burning, so they have to carry out a big request to the village. And as long as the envy is broken, it looks like they failed in the mission, or what? But no, when they look at their data board, Belakazi is back for life again. So he was surprised and kept looking for the people in the village, but he doesn't find anyone in Beirut after that at the registration department for the memories. And you see her talking to a little child and telling him that I am really sick with a very serious disease, and I can't make any effort to not die. But in your world I don't feel sick at all. My strength increases too, and when I come back to our world, I invent medicines that cure my disease, and also the diseases that exist in the whole world. After that the girl looks sad like this. She says to him, I am not useful to anyone, but I try to help people and save them as much as I can. Yoso, when he hears this talk, he gets very annoyed because he oppressed her. He sees the memories, also the huge monster that comes to the village, and the people run away, and at this moment the monster appears behind Eudes, and the boy runs fast, because if all of them die, That's it, they'll die. He keeps running away until he finds a little monster in front of him and they have them on him. Quickly, and they die because his rank rises and his power increases. But when his rank rises in time, the beast freezes in its place, and a king appears. The game says, congratulations Basha, the rank of your family, and reach number 10, you have the right to change your profession, and then he turns the digging wheel. And Yates wishes that he remains a warrior, but unfortunately he is a cook. He gets annoyed at first about the job, but he says, this is how I can find a knife in my weapons. And really, he finds a knife, he turns into cooking clothes and holds the knife, and looks at the body of the beast. He really can. He sees his members, and I took one of the advantages of the chef's profession. He knows the place where he hits him, and comes back another time he hits with a knife really in the body. The monster and the beast sit on the ground but don't die. And at this moment Shandy and Kaz come back to life again and get a face out of his stomach. Shendo tells him, I didn't expect you to succeed in the mission, but what are you wearing so? He tells her, I became a cook. And the monster was also at that time not dead and preparing to attack them. But it is clear that the monster started to get tired because of the wound in his stomach, and really the boy attacks the monster and inserts the knife in it, but his skin remains very hard, and he doesn't know how to reach it. The monster tries to hit Yusu, and he beats the two girls and dies, but they come back to life again. He says, Yosu, then, Shendo, use your wind magic, and then he will come to the monster. With all stupidity, he really enters the knife inside the wound and tries to hit him with the knife there, but the monster takes him out and throws him away, and he looks at his back at this time, and she uses her saddle, and the wind comes out and thinks his brain, then the monster falls. And so the mission is finally done, and successfully he appears. Then the king of the game stayed behind Yosu, and told him, now, you can ask me your question. Of course, the boy is shocked, but it was prepared for him. The question originally, he says to him, is, after we are done, what is important for us? What will happen? Mr. Albaba shows him a video of his city in the future, and the ones that were destroyed, and the monsters spread in it. They see a very huge and dangerous monster, and suddenly, everyone returns to his natural world. When she comes back and she is oppressed, and tells them, are we supposed to fight this monster, or what? So she says, Shindo, I don't know, but with us, come on. Let's live our normal life now, and get ready to get back to the game again. Viet, so he asks him like this, and tells them what will happen if we stayed in our world. Shendo tells him we will all die, and look at the clock like this, because the time is fixed, and they came back at the same time. What they said in it, they know that the time inside the game is different from their time, and they are considered fixed in the place. And then Shino asks from Yucho. He arrives at Cozy at home because she is tired, and it will not work for her to walk alone. And when he walks, he looks at the city and says to himself, I am tomorrow these people, but it is clear that my main mission is to save this city from destruction, and the shape of what is coming on fire at night is the time is better. He is training and studying the streets of the city, and suddenly the king of the game calls him and tells him, listen to the instructions that I will tell you, because this is the mission. Your new one, you are now required to add a new girl to your group, and this girl is in the girls' school. Really, Yoso goes there. While he is talking to the king of the game, he finds a group of girls bullying a girl, and between them with wellness, they both walk together and ask. Then the girl and he says to her, what is your name? And Lil, these girls were bullying you. So she tells him, my name is Yuka, and these girls were bullying on me because I make videos on YouTube, and they are mad at me and want to do like me. And after a while he became YouTube. Why did he move to the world? The magician entered inside the game, and this time they have Yuka, and she is the same girl he saved. I mean, she is surprised for the place like him. And the king of the game also appears to her and tells her about the instructions. He turns the wheel of fortune, and its mana appears, and it is a fire coast, he tells them. So the king of the game this time, if you die, you will wake up again after 40 seconds, not 30 like every time, and your mission is to deliver the goods to a city called a radio city. You have 40 days. And peace, really, the kids are getting ready because they carry out their fourth mission. But suddenly, a giant insect appears in front of them and comes out of its body other insects in the form of a worm and throws at them. Ball-shaped insects come. One in Utes and dies and helps your growth to use fire magic. But of course its weapon is very weak because her rank is still low, and she is shocked by another constriction, and she dies too. Shendo and here Cozy, but the ones who are hiding, and after 40 seconds the boy, with another superiority, the boy Yosu takes out the knife and can hit the balls that are coming to him, and the girls are very surprised how his strength increased. This speed. After that, the giant insect attacks him, and the boy jumps on the insect and gets on its back. He takes out his knife and cuts out her legs and asks her to use her weapon. He really holds her hands with the weapon and goes down on the giant insect and tells her really and really. Then their rank increases at night. While they are sleeping, Shendo gets up and sees Utes practicing, and they sit together. Shendo holds his hand. And you tell him, I'm not as strong as you think, I'm so weak, and I need you to help me finish this game and get back to our world. When the boy sees her in the ring, he is very affected, and after that, he will help, and will never leave her after that. And the next day she goes to the village that was destroyed by monsters, but the people in it don't know what they will do to get to the city of Radio D, and what The goods that they are supposed to deliver to this city in the first place. A person like this appears riding on a horse, and this horse looks strange. They ask him after it from the location of a radio city, so he tells them its place is very far, and at the end of the kingdom you need 35 days just to get there. The kids, of course, when you hear him, he is shocked, and the man says you should use horses too, because if you walk on your feet you will not reach in the first place. Other than after a year, so what after that? She asks him to give them his horse, but he tells her I can't because I need it, and I use it, but if we want our horses, so there is a fighting competition now being held in the city next to us, and who wins it will win 3 horses, so he is very good in Baker. They participate in this contest, and on their way they see a group of bandits, and the sector they say they look like a group of heroes. If we kidnap her, we will take a big ransom, and they have one of the thugs on them, but Yosu spits his attack, and suddenly a picture of the game Mac appears. And he says to him, "Your rank," I said, because it is forbidden to attack humans, so the boy is shocked, and does not know what to do, and they read and run away quickly because the sector will not arrest him, or will they arrest him, but the sector will arrest Shenda, and Yuka will take my husband and go to save her, but Utes بيع فبيس بهم وبيروح يشتركوا في المسابقة القتالية، بس للأسف يوكا وكوز بيطبع عليهم هم كمان، وتحس أن الحالة دي جاي عليه بخسارة. يا صديقي، يسوع بيع في الوقت ده بيحارب الوحوش الصغيرة، وبيقتلهم، وبيزود دربته، وبيزود ضرر له، ملك اللعبة بيحرك بعد أجله الحظ، وبيبقى ساحر بيعرف بيه أن هو بيكا، ما هو سحر العلاج، وكمان بيقدر يقنع أي حدا بيقوله بعدها بيكا. يوتيس بيروح لكان المسابقة وبيقدم فيها علشان ياخد الخيول، ولكن للأسف بيخسر وبيقتل في أول جوله بنت بيلي اسمها كهيه وديت، المفروض يعني بنت ملك المدينة. الولد بيروح يتراجعها وبيقول لها بالله عليك أنا محتاج الخول اللي في المدينة بتاعتكم، فالبنت بتقول لها أنا موافقه، ولكن بشرط واحد، وهو أنك تساعدنا قتل وحوش كثيرة. بعدها بيروح لقائد المدينة وبيوافق. يدلهم حصانة واحد بس فعلا بايعها، بيك بالحصان ده بيقدر يوتس وكهيه إنهم يروحوا ينقذوا البنات، وبيعرفوا يوسو إن هو ما جابش غير حصان واحد. معه بتظهر كهيه بقى فجأة وبتقول لهم أنا هجيب لكم خيول ثاني هج بشرط تخلوني إيجي معاكم وعالمكم. القتال بالسيف لينكم طبعا ما بتموتوا وانا بكدو أعرف أموتك براحتي، وتصحتني أرقى طبعا بتصادمينيها بتقوله وبيحسوا دماغها. مشاكل دي يا صديقي فعلا بك بتبدأ رحلتهم، وبيقبل وحوش صغيره كده في طريقهم بيقدروا يهزمهم، وبيكمل الرحل وبيسوى على الخريطة. بيبقى فاضل 15 يوم بالضبط و5 ساعات على نهاية المدة، وفجأة باب الأقوى في طريق مجموعة وحوشة على شكل زيجب بيترجم على النت. بنت اليوكوازي بقى وبتقول لهم أنا لازم أنقذ ناس، دي مش هسيبهم يموتوا وأنا موجودة. يوتس بيقولها يا ستي تنالي انتوا عارفوا تعملي أي حاجة، وبعدين يعني لو إحنا روحنا إنقذنا كده متأخر على المهمة بتاعتنا، فبتقول له أنا مستعد أضحي. In order to save any human being, when he hears it, he gets affected, and he goes down too, and says to her, and I am with you, really. They get out of the car and attack on the monsters, but the monster hits Cozy and jumps on her and bites her from the neck, and the second monster hits the bowl from Uta's hand and flies the boy. At this time he uses his magic persuasion and tries to convince the monster to look behind him, but the monster keeps attacking him too, and he doesn't accept. He hears his words, but Yosu can hit the monster in the eye, and he will kill him, but the third monster disbelieves and kills Yosu, and this is supposed to wait for 40 seconds to wake up, and at that moment, the soldiers in the convoy are standing up on the monster and killing one of them. The next 40 seconds, the one of Kaz finishes and gets up, and he sees Yosu. She was going to the beast, and the beast he also saw her, and they have them on her. The girl stays steady in its place, and it keeps damaging the weapons very quickly. It says, how long will I stay weak like this? I gathered I will keep everyone following me. I will not be weak again. The monster also comes to her very quickly, and as soon as the monster comes close to her, her sword comes out, and an owl enters the monster and kills after that. The 40 seconds of Utes is over, and the monster that is left is attacking her to kill him, but the boy runs quickly towards his friend's car, and the first time, he approaches her and looks like a hat behind him, and his neck flies, and this way finally everyone catches up. Then Yoso starts treating the injured in the convoy, and the commander of the convoy appears and thanks him for what he did. He asks him and tells him, where are you going? So the commander of the soldiers and tells them, we are going to a city. Radio to send these 2 men and those with the child to be executed there because they disobeyed the orders of the king and did not listen to what is being said here. So the kids think and say to themselves that maybe the goods that belong to the game want us to deliver are these people, or is this a trap made for us because it is a king? The game sees us, or what here you put, between two options: either save people from death or carry out the mission at this moment. You tell them the king sold you. This is very unjust. He wants to kill innocent people just for disobeying orders. Also, he doesn't want to kill them in their city. No. He wants to kill them in another city because he seems to be thinking of occupying all the cities. He wants to make a reputation for himself. And he is afraid to kill people all the cities he wants to occupy. I will never allow something like this. But the leader of the convoy says to her, I know you. كهيه أنت قائده فرسان في مدينه صغيرة مدينتك ما لهاش أي لازمة ولو عرضتين الملك. يدمر مدينه بتاعتكم كلها. بعدها اثنين بيستعدوا علشان يهجموا على بعض، ولكن شندوا بتمنعها في اللحظة الأخيرة يتسبيع بعدها. بيجمع البنات وبيقول لهم احتمال البضايع اللي هنوصل لها لمدينه راديو تكون ناس تقال لهم يعني وانا من رأيي نروح معاهم لمدينه راديو نوصل الناس دي هناك، ولو المومو يتنفذ فخلاص وننقل الناس دي إما لولا فهينك هذا الناس دي تبعد، وبعدها ندور على المهم في لحظة. ده بمساعد القائد بيقول أنا شايف إنهم ما كانش لازم يجوا معاهم. القائد بيقول له ما تقلقش، احنا لازم نواصل مساجين الدول والمدينه راديو، وبالنسبة للإبطال فعلا يتحركوا ولما القافله بتقف علشان يرتاحوا. يوتس بيطلب من قائد الفلاة إن هو يكلم الكاهن، ولما بيكلم الكاهن فعلا بيسألوا أنتم مين ويا اللي أنا معكم هنا؟ كاهن بيكا بيرد عليه وبيقول له احنا مجموعة من الناس ارتنكنا دين جديد الملك. بيكات ضايق جدا من ده وقتل الناس كثيره منا جدا، عذبهم وحرق بيوتهم، وقرر أنه يعدمنا في مدينه راديو احنا والطفل ده عشان بس نكون أبره لكل الناس، وانا مش عاوز حاجة من الدنيا غير بس ان الطفل الصغير. حكم الإعدام يوتيس بيقال لما بيسمع بيتأثر جدا وبيفهم كل حاجة بتحصل بعدها بينما بيتجمع يوتيس بيسأل قائد القافلة وقال لهم انتري عزين تقتلوا الناس دولة، فقال له ملك بتاعنا طيب جدا عاوز يجمع كل المدن تحت حكمه علشان ينشر الخير والسلامة والعدل، وعلشان كده إنا بسمع كلامه. وقتها يوسو بيقول في نفسه كل واحد منهم عنده منطق مقنعة ومؤمنين بأفكارهم، شايفين اللي بيعملوه هو الخيار الصح، ولكن إحنا مش عارفين الدنيا هتدينا على فين. وفجأة في نص الكلام يوكا بتقول لقائد القافلة أنت فكرنا نصدق الكلام العبيط اللي بتقوله ده. Any king who tries to occupy the cities is only trying to improve his image in front of the people and show that he is spreading justice and goodness, but in reality the king yours is an unjust king who can kill innocent people just to reach his goal, and the simplest example is what he did. This is the leader of the sect. When he hears her he gets angry and says to her, I don't allow you to say that, I don't allow you to talk about our king. In this rude way Yotes and Shendo are trying to calm the topic, and really they prevent talking about this topic once and for all after that Kahia. So she trains to use the sword and explains how to use a weapon to defend herself at this time. Cozy says, Lotso, we still don't know what goods we will move, or even reach this radio city. They continue their way to anyone. When they reach a big mountain and the commander of the soldiers tells them, we have to pass through the middle of this mountain, but I know a shortcut. If we enter it, we'll get there very quickly. Really, they move in the corridors that reach the mountains, and one of Kahia's assistants helps Yosu to drive their car. The assistant says, I am very happy because I am with you on this trip. I have the honor to be next to you, Hero Eutis. When he hears it, he replies to him and tells him, you are a very good person. By the way, they continue their way until they reach the bottom of the mountain and enter inside him. He says to them, so the commander of the soldiers, this cave has metal machines that we must use to open the road for us. And this place is a huge hall. Very and really after they use the machines, the water rushes and the gear starts to move and a stone road appears in front of them. But suddenly the door of the cave closes. On them the leader of the convoy appears like this from a place and tells them this is the end of the journey for you, and we will never travel with people who are two kings. Try to save yourselves and get out of here, although it is doubtful that you can do that. Come on. Peace, of course. The high will shock them all, because the important time is almost over. If they don't implement it at this time, they will all die Yoso, the most of them, worst of them. Shocked and don't know why he will do it, and really when he reaches the stone road she stops on him like this and tells them, let's start moving, let's try to get out of here. Really they start to move. They are met by giant thorns in a corridor that anyone knows how to pass, but Utes understands the game and goes to a high place. This way and a group of stones with symbols painted on them. he chooses a stone from them and starts moving them in a different direction. And really, the thorns start. Its movement decreases until it stops completely. They move then in the car slowly so that it doesn't slide and get us up on this corridor. Yucca. Of course it was. Terrified, and really they arrive at another passage. He says, Yodis, it is clear that this passage is very stupid, and we are supposed to walk in it, and that is it. But when it starts, Sue. He walks and appears even when he hits him, and the boy falls to the ground from a high place, and dies. He wakes up after 40 seconds and says, I was supposed to pay attention. And he knew that the topic is certainly not that easy. Haha. Cozy says to them, I have an idea to pass from here. You get a paper and a pen and start calculating the time. Who between each wall really know the real time and start walking in the corridor. She succeeds, that she passes. And he gets all the girls, and they say, Lotso, we will move and try to complete the mission quickly, but you try to get out of here as soon as possible. Really, the boy is trying to get out, but the girls fail. They arrive at a big door, and when they open they find small monsters in front of them, and they also see a huge statue stuck to the wall. But they are surprised that this statue came down to the ground and looks at them like this and helps to kill them. In the meantime, Yuto Wasa. He is still trying to get out. He can finally come out, but he is very fanatic. He says, I will kill the one. Our imprisonment here continues his way and tries to walk in the place, and he doesn't see anything from the darkness around him until he finds a circle of memories. Like this, and really he touches. The first time he touches, he sees the girls while they are standing crying. The assistant of Kahia is dead in front of them, and Yudo finds the body of this man. He remembers the memories that were between them, and he will be mad at the others, saying, I am sure we will be happy from what happened. I will not let your sacrifice go easily, my friend. He continues the way of the cave atmosphere. Really, and the girls are the monsters that come to them and start fighting him, but her tool is big, and the huge robotic monster is running to them. On it like she and Snowdo, and he arrives at the circle in the middle of the corridor. They see a key attached to it like this, and she says, Kahia, we should take the key to open the door and go to the other side and come to the monster, really, and start fighting it. And what do you hit? The bats and fall to the ground, but suddenly the Ali monster squeezes his claws in the girl's body, and then falls from the corridor in the water, and snorts. And Shendo didn't believe she died. Or what? The monster looks at her like this, and she comes back terrified, because she knows she will never be able to. But when she stumbles in the bat on the ground and dies, and the monster also attacks her to kill her, but suddenly time. The monster stands for the one who froze in his place. Sandia also remembers the words of YouTube. He says to her, when you reach rank number 10, time will stop, and you will be the king of the game to change your profession. فعل شندو بتكون وصلت لرقم 10 بعدما قتلت الخفاشة بصدفه مالك لعبه بيقع بيظهر لها وبيلف عجله الحظ والبنت برضه بتفتكر فيه كلام يوتيوب قال لها لو الزمن وقف تقلي ثواني ديت أنت تحكمي على الوحش اللي قدامك قبل ما يتحرك حتى وفعلا بتروح ناحية. The monster and his father came to him, and time will come back again. But Shando turns into a warrior with a sword and hits the monster in her sword. But his ribs are very strong and can't reach his heart. The monster uses his claws and beats them, but you can save herself and get out. She quickly brings her sword and takes out the shield and then looks at the body of the beast. You find it wounded. And you remember words like that. You remember when I taught her how her. She uses the sword and tells her that she must hit in specific places to know how to kill the monster. Really, she determines the location of the heart in the beast, and with guidance. Very quickly, she tries to insert the C in his heart, but the monster uses his claw and cuts her hands, but she runs away from him and looks at Tat. His back, and holding her severed hands with the sword, and an owl implanting it in his heart. The feeling finally died. Utes was running to catch up to get to the girls, and he really arrived at this moment. The robotic monster fell to the ground, and Shnodo told him, why are you so late? I was able to defeat the monster myself, uncle. You also tell him that Kahia is killed, and the boy always runs fast and jumps in the water looking at Kahia, who she is thrown on the ground and she is bleeding, and really he can save her. And when the girl wakes up, she gets up, and she doesn't believe that she is still alive. The assistant tells her, her friend Utes is the one who saved you from the water, and was able to treat you two, but he made a big effort and fainted from tiredness. The girl is looking at him like this, and she says to him, thank you for saving me. And in her eyes there is a look of admiration and love very clear at this moment. So they reach girls, and see her looking at him admirably. So she is very good at night. So Cozy says to him, Yucca, we have 7 days and hours left and not. Do you know when Yosu will wake up? And suddenly the boy wakes up and says, I understood everything. Yes, the girls are surprised and say, you understood what he says to them. I understood the goods that we are supposed to deliver the king of the game when he asked us for missions. Before that he did not specify a specific thing, and also in the mission. Our goods we can take, and that is it, and say goodbye to a radio city, and then we will carry out our mission. This means that the people who are sentenced to death must be saved, but in order to be able to carry out the task as quickly as possible, we must be divided into 2 groups. Me and Yuka will go to rescue the people in Shindohaku's, and they will go look for any merchant going to the city who has goods and help you deliver them to the city. And this way, we will have carried out the mission successfully, of course. Kahiya asks him, and tells him what will my role be, so he tells her you are the one who will carry out. Al-intikam al-hiyar, wana indi, hotahu al-shayn, nakdar nazim. Aidide, wanunkid nas, fa'ala shendu, wakuz betaharaku al-shayn yidoro, ala tegaron ma. Goods. They also have the assistant of Kahiya. Yutz explains to Kaya and Yuka their plan, and tells them I want a soldier commander. He sends a message to the king that the mission failed without Kahiya getting involved in the topic, so that she doesn't have a crush on her city, really Kahiya. You understand the plan and tell him we agreed, and the next day they can find the commander of the soldiers, really, and he is watching from afar, and at night the leader is standing talking. With his soldiers he protects with an arrow to complete the mission, but they are surprised to be surprised that he sits on them, and hands over the leader. He is surprised, and says to him, "How could you escape from the cave? I'm sure you died there." The soldiers pass by and fly quickly, so he tells them to talk comfortably because I'm not. I am coming to fight. I am coming just to negotiate with you, and you know very well that you will not benefit anything if you are free. I mean, if you kill me. No matter how much you kill me, I will wake up like this after 40 seconds, and in the end I will be able to kill you too. So the leader says to him, "Why are you coming here now?" Otis tells him that Kahiya and her assistants died in the cave, and two of the heroes with me fell into a hole they don't know. They get out of it, and there is nothing left but me and this poor girl. Then he calls for Yuka, and she appears from behind them and tells them, "I will give you a chance until sunrise. The sun, if you didn't hand us the 3 people who are with you, I will use my hero's magic, and I will tell you all." Then he walks and leaves. After he leaves, the leader is shocked and stands talking to his soldiers so that they know how to behave in this situation. He tells them we must kill this boy quickly so that we can finish our mission. One of the soldiers says to him how boss this is one of the heroes, and no matter how we killed him, he will not die. So the leader tells him that there is only one solution, that we must arrest and lock him up with us until the mission is over, and he fails. And suddenly he is. They hear Yuka's voice, and she enters them and says to them, "How are you?" Of course the men get tired, and he says to her, "Who brought you here?" So she says to them, "Your voice is a little bit because I came without Yusu, knowing I am coming to offer you a deal that will get you rid of this whole topic." Of course when the leader, he hears her shocked and says, "What do you want?" She tells them, "I am ready to take you now and let you know the place where he is to arrest him." While he is sleeping, he says to her, "Why do you do that in the first place? You look like you want to fall into the trap of the girl." She says, "No, I don't care about you or other than him. I don't want problems with anyone, and that's why I want to get rid of him." The leader is really convinced of her words and says to her, "I will come with you. I am one." One of the soldiers talks to the second soldier and tells him, "Better you are here and guard these prisoners. Yuka will be happy, and tell herself your plan. It's going very well, Yusu, and really Yuka's mission is to take them and employ them until Yusu saves the prisoners. And every time they ask her, there is the road we will reach when you tell them a little bit more, until the commander of the soldiers rips from it, and the soldier with him passes by to kill her with the leaf." Quickly he says to him, "Let's get back quickly, because it is clear that this was a trap, that he really ties her with a rope, because if, after 40 seconds they come back again towards the place where the prisoners are." But the leader is surprised to him, "Your mission failed. Pasha, I killed the 3 prisoners and the 2 soldiers, as you see. Even the soldier, for an hour he was setting it on fire. Now he is really setting me on fire. The whole place. And the soldiers steal and burn." The commander says to him, "You are sure crazy. How can you burn him while he is living in this moment? Yuka is using magic." The fire comes out, and the rope that is tied to it comes out and escapes quickly, and jumps behind Yutz on the horse pager. They are the 2 of them from the place Yuka. When you ride behind and say, "Good, they are running behind us like madness." Because if they see the bodies that are being burned, they will find out the whole truth here. We know that. Yutz rescued the 3 prisoners after he captured the soldier, tied him up, covered his face, used the prisoner's clothes, and wore this clothes for toy brides. He made it from straw because he insulted the prisoners, and that he killed them and set fire to the whole place, saying then he became YouTube. They sent a message to the king, and tell him that Kahiya and her assistants died, and the heroes are the ones who ruined our whole mission, and this way no problems will happen. To the city of Kahiya, they actually arrive at a cave in the mountain, and they are hidden in the 3 prisoners after this child was treated and agreed. He goes to Yuka, and says to her, "If Kahiya did her job, then my plan worked perfectly. But Luca," she tells him, "even if we are in a game and in a strange world, how could you burn a person while he is living?" So he tells her that this world is a game that is not a real human, and he sat down. I mean, either he burned anyone but Shendo, Kozi, and the assistant of Kahiya. So they are sitting and they are very frustrated. She says, Kozi, we have been for 3 days. Still, we can't find any postponement until now. The time of our mission is almost over, and it looks like we are going to die or what." At the same time, the commander of the soldiers was so upset that he was crying. And this is because of the failure of his mission, and so the king will not trust him again, really. The king is sending a message. With all that happened, and he says, I wonder what the king will do to us when we come back, but with hypocrisy that his soldier is killed. Yes, the monster appeared like this in the place, and you tell him not to be afraid of your king, because you will not return to him, the leader, of course. He does not believe what is happening, and you tell him as much. So in a terrifying way like this, hold your weapon, because I don't like to be strong on people like you. Really, the leader holds the weapon and beige it strongly, but she uses her sword and cuts his hands, then his legs. Then he stays on the ground, screaming in pain, but she cuts so. She raised him with a sword and tells him that I took revenge on my assistant, and on the other hand, he became originally royal after the king knew the news. I was talking to one of the men of his house, and telling him these heroes, although they are good and don't bother people, but enter and ruin our mission. That's why I want you to look for any way to get rid of these heroes, and take revenge on them, really. The man replies to him, and tells him, I will do all. Who will ask me? And he looks like this. He is not joking, my friend, at this time. Yutz is telling him, Yucca, I want to take 3 things with me possibility. They are the goods that are required of us to deliver them to the city radio. Really puts 3 small boxes like this in the car and says to him, Yucca, and she is afraid. Are you sure that you want to take these boxes? They have very strange things, he says. To her, maybe this is the goods, and really, they start to move to accept what she looks like this on YouTube. This time he talks to the little boy, and it becomes clear that she likes him very much. Yucca keeps looking at her in a malicious way like this, and takes that she looks like this, she loves him. And when he is, they stand in the way as if she is going to Lotso like this, and she wants to confess her love to him and tell him, I want to tell you something. Of course, Yucca, she stays hiding behind the horse and wants to hear what she will say to him, but she is ashamed of him and does not accept to say anything to him, and they continue their way. Then it is normal. Yucca Bab. She is happy, and very happy with the romantic events that are happening around her, and Beeb looked at her like this, and she makes strange moves trying to catch the attention of YouTube. He asks Yosu and tells him, why is this girl doing that? She is normal. Fitz says to him, oh, Uncle Normal, forget about her brain is mourning. She prefers to make malicious plans all the way to make Kahia confess her love Lotso. But all her plans, she fails to the extent that she asks Kahia to help Yusu in cooking so that they can talk to each other and give her a chance to confess to him. But you don't find a Kohi in the first place, and as soon as you see her, you find her entering them carrying something very big and huge, and telling them, I hunted this pig is to eat it, and she is the way that I help Yuso in cooking. Of course, Yucca believes, and says to herself, this girl. Very strange. Really, so Yuka thought of a new plan to help her with and asked Yusu to train with Kaya, to use the sword, and so on. And she says to herself she loves training, and sure, when they train together she will be paralyzed and sniffed something, but she agrees that Kahaya finished Yucho and tells her, come on, it's your turn, smart, go ahead. She runs after her and you run away from her, and literally one of the scenes that made me laugh the most honestly on the other side, Sendo and Kuz Belalao. A merchant going to Radio City with goods to deliver it to the city. Really, they ride with him to get to Radio City, and at this time he is moving. The merchant who has the goods and the girls also to get to the city, and when they get to the city they take the prisoners to the church, so that it will be a safe place and no one can be exposed to them, but they will not be the goods that they are supposed to deliver, and the mission is still not done. The second thing that Yacht said about are swords and things of soldiers, but also they don't come out, are the required goods and so on. So there is nothing left but the third and last thing, which is the things that are in these boxes, and they are the heads of the leader and the soldiers, who killed them and stabbed them and put them in these boxes, and this strange thing really comes out the required goods and they can execute. The mission at that time was Shinoha Kozi. They were walking like this with the merchant who is going to Radio City, but they are surprised that the mission was carried out, and they all accepted in the city. They are preparing to carry out the next mission, and their new mission will be to spread in the whole city, and they try to enlarge their map, which is the map of the game, the ones with them, and reach many places. They haven't seen it yet really. The four are breathing each other to cover more areas, but before Yosu moves, he stands in a place like this and looks at the sea and the sun. They are surprised, and she decides to be honest. Yosu, I really love her. You stand next to him and kiss him to tell him I love you, but you find him getting ready to walk, and the girl retracts her words and asks him, and tells him you will walk. So he tells her I have to go to carry out the new mission Kahia at this time. She returns to her decision, and he gives her hand and says hello to her, and says, after that, I am very, very happy that I saw you. I wish to see you again. And then the girl walks away. Of course, she repeats that she writes the feelings inside him, and she doesn't accept to say anything to him, and she keeps standing like this looking at him from afar, and she looks like she was falling hard. Honestly, in the meantime, Utes and the girls start to spread out to carry out their mission, but the snow starts to fall, and a storm. Snow covers the whole place. Yoso changes his clothes to warm up, and starts moving in the middle of the ice storm, but the topic remains difficult. The cold is very severe, and they are not used to it, and it looks like they are going to die. Hakaz is tired in it. Half the way and she falls to the ground and she is about to die from the cold. She says, I don't want to die, and she is crying, and she was cold. Very, and she can't move, and Shinado also tries to walk, but she gets tired and her daughter is not able to move. She also snows too in the meantime. He starts to cover them all, and they are about to die, but Yudis keeps walking in the snow, and he says the duration of the mission is 6 hours left. So it is over. We must reach the required place to carry out this mission, but we agree with a giant monster in front of him, and they hit him very hard and throw at him. The monster tries to hit him again, but Yosu runs away very quickly and crosses between his legs. He runs after her and moves away from him, and stops these two in front of each other. Suddenly the monster comes to him again, but Otis takes out the bowl in his hand and flies and blocks the blow, and then runs to the monster to attack him, and really, he gets the knife out, and he can kill him, but after the monster dies, very small monsters appear, and they are. I am sad that their mother died. Yachts. He was also very upset because he was one of those little ones. He says to himself, I had to do this to live, but in the beginning and the end like this. I mean, this is a game, and this is artificial intelligence, not more, he sees. Then the distance in front of him is on the map, and he knows that there are still 5 hours left in front of him, and the period ends, but suddenly he is walking on the ground. The one below it collapses and falls from a very high place, and Hakaze and Shindo die. They also died from the cold, and it looks like they will die really in. Meanwhile, Yuka was hiding and trying to warm herself and remember all her memories in school with her friends. She remembers all the things that she used to watch when she was young, and she imagined herself as one of the witches of the anime, saying to herself, after that is why am I here? I could die at any moment. I have to continue my way. And of course Yuka was still alive. Yuso wakes up after 40 seconds. And with a very big deal that he is still living, he knows that sure one of the girls is still cheating, and I find himself in a very strange place in this place because he was underground. It was not very cold, and his body temperature remained constant, and he was able to wake up again to see. Then in front of him in corridors with symbols drawn on them, and he walks in these corridors. We find in front of him the bones of strange creatures, and he reaches a big hall, and an inn. Half of it is a luminous phosphorus circuit, but Shendo excels too after the 40 seconds they pass. But Hakaze prefers to die because the snow covered her and her body was frozen at that time. Shino sees a village in front of her, and the houses in it are illuminated, and she is very happy, and says to herself, I will surely find anything in this village that really helps me. She goes to the village, but it shows that the ground under it is a frozen lake. Its snow is very weak, and it breaks from under it. The girl is running to go to the village, but react when the frozen surface of the lake breaks and falls under the snow and dies. Of course, you can't get over once. A second after 40 seconds because her body also froze, and so there is only Yutz and Yuka, and they both try to reach the end. The map, but every time he enters an entrance, he finds all the roads in front of him blocked. He enters inside a very narrow tunnel, and when he gets out of it, he finds himself in a place that is also blocked, and suddenly the ground shakes, and a very giant worm comes out from under the ground that starts digging the ground again and entering. Poor Yutz walks behind her, and he says to himself, sure, this worm will know how to get me out of this place, if I keep walking behind me, I mean. But because of the luck of the Jinx, they are surprised to eat it, and then the boy is like this. He died, you don't prefer, but only Yuka who is alive, and if she dies, she too literally be safe. The girl tries to encourage herself, and not give up, but how there is no one left but me who lives. I am the weakest one of them. To rank really, the girl continues in her mission and walks, but she believes very much, and her daughter is on the ground. And she says to herself while smiling desperately, finally, I found the excuse to give up, and it looks like I will die. She will be ill. Very frustrated, and says that I have always been a failure and I will never be able to complete the task by myself. Really, I am about to die. But suddenly you imagine. In front of her, one of the little witches, the heroes of the anime, says to her, you have always been a hero of the heroes. How did you get to death peacefully and not complete your mission? We are the heroes. We are not used to giving up. You always used to watch our anime and see. You see, and we are fighting evil of all kinds. And you two are not supposed to give up and want like us. Yuka, when you hear the words you cry and hold her beads, and she bears and says out loud, I have to complete the mission. I am not really a failure. She continues on her way, but she starts to get tired from his intensity. The cold, and I imagine in front of her the anime characters that she loves to encourage her, but she stands while she is tired and sees in front of her a very huge cat and a girl riding on this cat, and the girl says to her, you are one of the heroes, right? Come with me if you want to complete your mission. Yuka, when you see her, she will be. I think that she imagines, but then she discovers that she is real. She rides on the cat really, and the girl takes her cheek. With her, they run quickly to get to the desired place, but Yuka feels desperate and says it is impossible that we get there on time. What is specified is that she loses hope and says in her mind the important thing is that it will never be implemented. Sure, we will all die. It starts. She cries and says to herself that what happened. But the girl tells her. And she says she needs magic, and a strong magical energy appears. The cat starts to fly very fast, and Yuka is very surprised when she sees her. She asks her and says, Why are you one of the heroes? Or what? So you tell her the girl, no, I am just one who knows how to use magic, and only looks then Yoki on a card. Their mission, and you find that the time is almost over, and at this time, the girl makes another powerful magic energy, and the cat flies quickly, and the time is... Dragon. The mission is about to end. Suddenly the sea appears in front of them, and this is the place they are supposed to reach to execute. The mission is very far away, and the tools are still working. Yuka closes her eyes and feels that she will not be able to succeed. But suddenly, he wakes up. All of them stayed in the place where they meet the king of the game, and they are very surprised that Yuka was able to carry out this mission alone so suddenly. The king of the game appears behind Yuka, and the girl plays a lot, and tells you in it the horror that you are doing to us. And then the king of the game says, why did you do your job? And you can ask me any question you want, and I will answer it easily. Yuka thinks like this to ask him in what? Because she doesn't want to waste her question in something, so she says, Yuka, is there something I wanted to know? Is this strange world real or a game? Of course, everyone is very surprised from her question, and sure that this world is not real, so the king of playing on it, and telling her, you are really in another world. Parallel. This world is similar to your world, which is the earth. I mean from the end like this. Yes, this is a real world. And these strange creatures that you see are also real. And you are the only thing that is not real in this world. Then Yuka, you look. Lotso is like this, and they are oppressed because the meaning of this talk is that Yosu killed a real person and burned him with fire too. Because he thought it was just a beep game, and also he didn't believe what happened. And he was at the top of his anger after. This way we see them go back to the real world and sit in his shoes while he is very oppressed and doesn't believe everything that happened. He can't believe it. Also, all that he went through and sleeps while he feels despair and repel. He says to himself, it is true that I hate people and I don't disagree with them, but not to the extent that I kill a real person who was very upset after. This way we see that he starts to participate in the sports activities in the school that he did not participate in the first place. He became very professional to the extent that all his classmates at school are surprised how he got this speed and skill. And not only Yuda's, but what happened in him is a difference. This is Kozia also participates in sports with Shendo after her health improved a little, and she feels that she is good. She will be very happy, and this seems to affect the world that they go to. Why? And you say it as a cozy for what it is clear that every time we participate in the game and go back to our world, we write physical strength and our body is better. Better to the extent that my health started to improve. Although I am still sick with a serious illness. At this time, Shino is looking at Yusu. This way, the one who is still sad and annoyed with himself, and doesn't believe, yes, he doesn't believe what he did in the past world. He tries to stay away from everyone and what? I didn't choose them and even didn't talk or shed or cozy, but suddenly while he was walking and on his way home, a message came to him on his mobile, and he discovers that it is a message from the king of the game, and when he opens it, he is shocked, because the king of the game asks him, do you feel it now after I killed a real person? Then YouTube gets annoyed, and Baker deletes the message and comes home thinking if what happened was all part of this game, but he decides that he ignores all this, and lives a normal life, and stays away from the game completely, and does not think completely that he returns to the world. The magician again, but also he is oppressed and sad because of what he did, and suddenly without a strange girl appeared in front of him, without introductions, and said to him, how are you? YouTube. He is playing a lot, and telling her who are you exactly, and what brought you here. She replies to him, and tells him why you were supposed to reply to my message. I deleted the message that I sent you. Yosu says to her, you are the king of the game. How did you reach our world, and how it turned and became? The character of his daughter is young, so the girl tells him, you have no right to ask me about anything. They sit together, and say the king of the game. Lotso answered the question. I asked you in the letter that you deleted, what is your feeling now, after what you did? So, he says to her, of course, I regret, and am very upset. I feel that what I did is a big mistake. But I always say to myself that I did this, and I think that I am killing a person in the game, and because I wanted to do something good and save an entire city from war and destruction, he says to him, the king of the game after that. Anyway, forget about this topic now, and don't think that you will not come back to the game again, because you will not be able to do that, and you must complete the tasks that in the game, or if you don't do that you will all die in the real world. And come on, I will tell you who is the new person you are going to enter with us. So he was surprised to do that, and tell him who is this person, the king of the game. He tells him you will know everything in its time. He gives him the cap, and tells him the cap, and tells him, wear it now, and it is very useful. And in another place in the city, and in front of a Chinese restaurant like this, there is a gang of thieves and thugs, who are covering their face with a gentleman with them, their leader, and telling them to get ready to carry out the mission. At this time, he became the king of the game. BP. He is sitting with Jesu in the restaurant, and he asked him, why are you my son here? The girl then says to him, the man you see in front of you is a merchant to you. Drugs are very well known, and the player that I want you to include to enter the game with you will enter now and try to get rid of drug trafficking. And your job is to prevent this conversation. Of course, Fitz is shocked, and says to her, "What are you saying? Who will get rid of this drug trafficking? And what role is it with him?" The girl then, she continues her talk coldly, and tells him this new player is named Kaida, and he has a brother named Shoga. He is also involved with him in this crime, so come on, because they enter after 3-2 and really. At this moment the door opens and the thugs enter and they are on the drug dealer, but Yoso extends his leg, and one of them falls down and says to the rest of the thugs that you are doing this is very wrong, but the thug who is lying on the ground beats him with a stick in his leg, and thinks himself he will be able to do it, but YouTube gets mad at them and catches them and breaks them one by one, and no one passes from him. Of course, the boy was not merciful to them and loyal to them one by one, and one of them calls the other and tells him his longing when he hears him his. He knows that this is what they want. He repeats to see his face. The boy attacks Yosu again, but Yosu spits easily and removes the mask from his face and telling him, "Take your brother and run away from here quickly before the police come and arrest you." But the boy tells him, "I have to get rid of this drug dealer, this leader," so of course he forbids him and tells him, "Stop what you are doing and run away quickly because of what you are doing." Mistake. At the same time the gang leader knows from one of his men that his plan has failed. He enters the restaurant and tells him, "Okay, don't do anything," in his words, Luchu. And he says to him, "Who are you exactly? Come on, who made you do that? You are working with the gang competition." But Yosu doesn't accept to reply to him, and the leader gets mad at him. He raises the gun on him and tells him, Tell me, I will kill you in a moment." This appears to be the king of the game, and of course everyone is surprised because it is a little girl standing and talking to YouTube after that, a magic cage. And she tells him to use it. Really, Yoso takes it quickly and wears it, and it gets a very magical energy, and he can stop the time. Then he takes advantage of the situation, and he can't. He beats him and throws him on the ground, bleeding from the beating. Of course he is very surprised and does not understand what is happening in front of him, because they are in the world. The real thing is that he has never seen magic like this. At this time the police arrive, and at that time Yatsop tell Kaida to take your brother and run away quickly. So the boy, he asks him and tells him, "Who are you exactly?" Yosu doesn't accept him and walks away. And if the gang leader at this time wakes up and holds the gun, he stash. He wants to shoot Utes from his back, but he hits the gun from his hand and tells him, "Shame on you to hit the one who saved me," from his back like he. The gang gets angry with him and tells him, "You are challenging me. You know what will happen to you. If you don't listen to my words, you are even living for anyone." Now because of me, he gets mad at him and raises his leg and hands on his face and says, "You didn't know how to hit a little kid, you will come and rinse now." And really, he runs fast and runs away his brother from the police, and no one understood anything yet. All these events are happening. Utis is standing talking to the king of playing a game and telling him, "I did the mission, come on, let me go." And he says to him, "What is wrong with you?" "The game is true. I wanted to ask you about something. You have now saved another person from death. What made you put your life in danger and do something like this favor on him?" And he tells him, "I did this for my own benefit because I also want new players to join the game and execute our missions together, because honestly I started to enjoy this game very much." And it shows a crazy look in his eye, and his look is excited on the other. He continues his speech and says, "I am curious to know the end of this game. Other than that, I feel now that I can control the city that I live in. I can also in the future control the whole world, and that is why we must go back to the game. We must complete it because I want to know what will happen in front of us." And we also know at this time that Kaida was involved with this gang leader because the leader threatened him and asked from him to kill the drug dealer. And this is because Kaita and Wah owed him a lot of money to the leader. And the kids had to listen to what they were saying, and who would kill their mother. But of course Utis was able to. He follows them before they commit this crime and save them from what they are in. And at this time the girls are sitting together in a restaurant and laughing. On the other hand, with Yucca, if there is a police car that arrests someone in a place near them, and a crime stops, you say Yucca in a voice like that. Sure, this is important for you, YouTube, because Yusu is still standing with the king of the game and telling him about what happened, and the people who saved her will be. Cozy is also in school, and she hears the sound of police cars, and says in her mind, "I wonder when the next mission will be." In the meantime, he was Yusu. He is still standing with the king of the game, and the girl asks him and tells him, "You think you are the one who is YouTube?" He replies to her and says, "I am just a normal boy," who raises his hand, and he sees the magical power in his hand and tells her, "Just a boy delusional with illusions of greatness." And finally he knew that he was wrong, and he admitted this online lie. Despite all this, he sees that what he did right, the world around him is all wrong. "I know that all that I judged is because of paranoia. Not more, but what is the barrier? I mean, the barrier when this is real." He stands up and takes out a magic energy also from his hand, and says, "I am fighting with justice. What I believe in, I have lived my whole life doing this. I will continue my life like this, and I will not rest until I see your end, to king of the game. And only until here we will have reached the end of this anime still has other parts with more enthusiasm. So don't forget to subscribe and like our video to get you the first time I upload it. Thank you, bye."